Hey, I'm Neil from Behind the Money, and in today's video, I'm going to be revisiting CD Projekt stock. For those of you who didn't tune in to my full analysis pre-Cyberpunk 2077, please hit the link above. For a quick debrief, CD Projekt is a Polish video game developer known primarily for their Witcher trilogy, as well as Cyberpunk 2077, which is their latest franchise. We got into this stock around a month before Cyberpunk 2077's release at 376 Polish złota, and we were able to exit around a week before the release at 420 Polish złota. So we made a little bit of money on this trade, and let's dive into what's happened since. Our thesis was that Cyberpunk 2077 was already highly baked into the valuation that CD Projekt held. Comparing its multiple to peers, it was clear that the market believed Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be one of the greatest video games ever. We figured if the game had received great reviews, the stock would have increased its upward momentum. However, we felt that even if the release was successful, the fundamentals would eventually catch up to the game, and we knew we wouldn't be holding this stock into their next quarterly earnings report. It simply would have been too hard for the stock to grow into its inflated valuation. With the stock price already so high, we knew there was literally no room for error in the Cyberpunk release. Of course, even before the release, we started to see some trends coming about. The Metacritic score of 91, which albeit isn't a bad score, but it's not good enough to be one of the greatest games ever. As well as the massive bug updates that came for those who pre-ordered the game, the talk about how the game could trigger seizures for those with epilepsy, and even stories about how it didn't treat transgender people appropriately. Basically, in a matter of days, the headlines began to turn negative quickly. This was our trigger to sell the game before it actually ended up releasing. Stocks that have such little wiggle room for error are hazardous to begin with. So we knew we had to be quick to exit, as we weren't willing and prepared to hold that stock into the release after all the negative news we've heard. Our due diligence in analyzing this stock paid off big time, as we were able to make money and get out before the stock plummeted after the release. To make matters worse, CD Projekt is actually facing 4 class action lawsuits from investors. Primarily, the suit claims that CD Projekt was making false statements on how Cyberpunk 2077 played on the current gen Xbox and PlayStation consoles. I did think this would make for a good shorting opportunity, as seen in one of my comments in the original CD Projekt video. However, based on the momentum of 2020, I decided to stay out and watch from the sidelines. The game release that was so anticipated might go down as one of the worst video game releases ever to date, globally. With Sony taking the game completely off the digital store and Microsoft giving 100% refunds back without asking any questions, this says a lot. So let's see how people feel about this game. Quickly looking at trends, we can see in the last 30 days, Cyberpunk is not doing very well. Looking specifically at Google Trends compared to GTA 5, we can see that less than a month after Cyberpunk's release, GTA 5 and Cyberpunk are almost equal today in Google Trends. Now, let's keep in mind, GTA 5 was released in 2013, over 7 years ago. Meanwhile, Cyberpunk was released less than a month ago. And this is the game that CD Projekt was trying to make to go head-to-head with GTA 5 in sales. Well, I think the chances of that now, given the data, are super slim. Over 17,000 Google users have reviewed Cyberpunk 2077, giving them only a 3.3 out of 5-star rating, and only 75% of people recommend this game to others. This is super poor. For example, CD Projekt's Witcher 3 received Google user reviews of 4.8, and over 95% of people recommend this game. Meanwhile, GTA 5 had 4.5 stars, and again, over 95% of people recommend this game. This is a massive contrast to the poor reviews that Cyberpunk has received. So, what went wrong? Well, where do we even begin? Releasing on 9 major consoles was obviously a tactic to give this game globally to everyone who wanted it in their hands. However, without ever showing footage on the Xbox One or the PS4, users had no idea that the game would be completely lagging to that of what they saw on the previews online on the next-gen consoles. They prepped the market for excellence across all platforms. Meanwhile, not all the platforms had even remotely close to the same experience. Reviews on the PC and next-gen consoles aren't actually that bad. However, there is the constant bug experience, which is giving people a bad taste in their mouth. We can look at some of the examples here. So, as mentioned in our original analysis, CD Projekt needed this game to touch everyone on all the consoles if they wanted to even come close to touching GTA 5 sales. As you can see, this simply just isn't going to be the case. The Witcher 3 was a little bit buggy upon release as well. However, they had a more loyal following and it was more of a niche market. Cyberpunk, on the other hand, was being released to the masses. to a new set of fans, and everything implied the game was going to be perfect. Unfortunately, these kind of bugs were obviously not received well, and it tarnished the Cyberpunk 2077 brand name, as well as some credibility for CD Projekt. They were a cause for mass refunds, and they've been the cause of the stock being nothing but red since the release on December 10th. I personally think the stock actually has more room to come down. Even at the current market cap, the company actually seems to me fairly expensive. With 8 million in pre-order sales, the company has now said, as of December 20th, they have sold 13 million copies. This is a large number, but typically week 1 sales actually top pre-order sales. This isn't the case here, and the negative news has really hurt the brand image. We continue to follow this stock, but for a company that's core value has always been quality, we feel like this game has really gotten away from them. You almost wish that they had just pushed it back again and decided to release in 2021. And management certainly didn't have a grasp for the development necessary to produce a game of this type of quality. It was delayed 2 times and quite realistically should have been delayed a 3rd based on the reviews after the game was released. If the company is able to get back to what it's known for, which is quality and taking time upon all the releases, then perhaps this stock can rebound at some point. But I can't see that occurring in the short term. So the questions we ask are, how will the multiplayer game perform? When will it come out? Will people even be inclined to play it after such a terrible Cyberpunk release? There are certainly tons of question marks and much too many for me to be considering going long in this stock at this current time. As always, do your due diligence on this one, but Take-Two may be actually a pretty good player in this market. With the inevitable news regarding the next GTA, perhaps you can buy before the news. As CD Projekt proved that the best thing for its stock over the past several years was the news of Cyberpunk 2077, not the actual game, not the release itself. I anticipate a really poor Q1 of 2021 as The Witcher is now becoming a bit of an older franchise, and I just can't see Cyberpunk sales in early 2021 performing anywhere near what the market expected. Perhaps over time, with bug fixes and another marketing push to regain customer confidence, there could still be room for growing sales in this game. But with such low user reviews today and completely incomprehensible bugs being shown online, it's tough to see Cyberpunk sales exploding anytime soon, and to me, Cyberpunk sales are what's really going to be triggering whether this stock goes up or down. Even an announcement of when the multiplayer game may come out may not be enough to push the needle, as now can we really be confident with the timeframes that CD Projekt gives us for its games? And the franchise has been tarnished, so it's now hard to predict the anticipation that the game will come with. Having said all this, we will continue to follow this story and we'll continue to update you guys on this story. If you have any comments, please write them below and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're notified when our next video comes up. Thanks, guys.